I tell you what, someday, pow, here I am a little bit early, as predicted though, folks, as predicted. That's what we do. You and I, we get together and we talk about stuff. And as we're interacting, questions, news, what's going on, SHTF, right? The gears keep turning, they mesh, they click. We know what's going on. We predicted it. You want to know what we're going to talk about? Well, stay tuned. Welcome back to the Prepared Mind, everyone. And I'm really glad we're back to doing some live here. We're doing all we can to stay on. I could have sworn we'd have been out of trouble even Sunday night at the zoo. I'm completely pissed off at YouTube. They're just, I guess, arbitrarily adding a few days on here. Anyways, be that as it may, as soon as we can go live with everyone, we're going to do it. But, we're going to play our games, folks. It's a big game. And this happened today. Within 24 hours, folks, within 24 hours, what we discussed yesterday came true. What happened? The Supreme Court of Texas smacked down one of their Democrat judges, little teeny chicken shit district judge in Texas, decided he was going to say, oh, no. The governor does not have the authority to arrest any of these escapees. Essentially, they look like a bunch of PTA reject housewives that have somehow gotten elected to the Texas legislature and then decided they can't be held responsible. Oh, there's too much stress and anxiety being in that role. They need to go hide in Washington, D.C. so they won't have to do their jobs. Well, too bad, ladies. The Supreme Court has stepped in. Screw the appellate court and appeals process, right to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court sends down their decision and says, no, you Democrats, you can be arrested as soon as you come back. And folks, I don't just want them arrested and kept in Congress there, in the legislature until their business is done. I want charges. That's what I want to see. I want them arrested. I want criminal charges, malfeasance of office, dereliction of duty, real criminal penalties. So Judge Brad Urushitia, whatever the fuck your name is, you're done. You're a pawn. You're a puppet. I've got lots of bad words, folks. I've had it with these people. 58 Democrat members from Texas went and hid in Washington. Where'd they go? Did they hide under Camel Toe's skirt or under Nancy Pants Pelosi's skirt? I don't know. Right. I'm glad we saw this. I'm glad we recognized it for what it is. I'm glad we saw. Folks, I did not finish law school, right? I was never a practicing attorney, and I could see, right? You don't have to be an attorney with a Juris Doctorate to see how they violate the law. They ignore common sense. This is what we get, though, folks. When you elect scumbags, absolute scumbags to Congress, whether it's at the state level or the federal level up in DC. When you elect them, this is what you get. Let me tell you what else you get. And I want to thank Crispy Bacon for sending this to me, right? Cerveza camps. That's right. Democrats want you and me in a camp because you might be a high-risk individual. Did you know that? Oh, yeah, we need some camps for high-risk individuals. This totally sidesteps where's the crime? You can't put people in camps. Okay, first of all, folks, shit has hit the fan. And you know it has when they start calling a prison a camp. When you're held against your will and put in a place that you don't want to be, that's a prison. Number one, prison. Number two, high risk. Being a high-risk individual like you or me or anyone else does not constitute a crime that would allow you to be put in a prison. High risk. Well, if you can put someone who is a high-risk cerveza suspect, who determines if they're high risk? What's this threshold level? How do you test for high risk? Is high risk the level of contamination a person has? You know, or is high risk a person who they can't control, who could travel, who could be free? A high risk is a person who wants to go out and go to stores and restaurants, go out and watch entertainment. Is that what high risk means? Or is high risk someone they just don't like? There's so much involved in this. Camps, prisons, high risk crime. Who has the authority to do this? Who gets to determine if someone meets this level? Is it a political question or is it a scientific question? Because we haven't seen a whole lot of fucking science in 18 months now, have we? We've seen, let's see, horror movie science. Let's see, we've seen political science. And we've seen pseudoscience, folks. Pseudoscience. Oh, my hair feels funny today. My head is just, it's just on fire. One, I got a little bit too much sun, but just tingling and bursting with ideas about what the fuck is going on around here and what we can do about it, folks. I mean, here's another one. In Oklahoma, school board member says this: students could be committing murder by not wearing their masks. Once again, this is overly inflammatory. It is over the top. Overly inflammatory, over the top, ridiculous horseshit. Here we go again. Fear porn right into the children. You're committing murder if you don't wear a mask. No. Murder is not the same as manslaughter. It's not the same as accidental death. Murder is intentionally killing someone, folks. But I guess this is what happens when you have a school board meeting and people who have no idea what law is, criminal behavior, criminal actions. They have no clue, folks. Shit has hit the fan. They could look at you and say, you're high risk. I think you've probably murdered a dozen people or more with your bad behavior. We're going to put you in a camp. And while you're there at the camp, we can mandate whatever else we want because you're now in the jurisdiction of the government. You're now under their authority and you're on their property and you're living and they're having to feed you. So therefore you have to accept whatever medical procedures and chemicals they want to give you. How do you like that? How's that for a what if? Does that seem like a far fucking stretch anymore, folks? Or does that seem like a really bad movie about communist Soviet Union or fascist World War II Germany? That's what it sounds like. Camps telling people they're murderers just because they're existing. Living human beings are murderers merely because they won't wear a face diaper. Literally, folks, not wearing a diaper on your face means you could be committing murder. Absolutely off the hook. What did we talk about in the last video? What's going on in Portland, Oregon? Right? Did we talk about that in the last video, or was that a private conversation? All day long, all night long, I live, eat, sleep, drink, everything that's going on here, folks. It's just incredible. Absolutely incredible how far and hard they're pushing everyone and everything. Yeah, I did talk about lawlessness and Antifa and Proud Boys and people standing up for themselves. And it keeps on going. Let's cover this, though, while we're here. Shit, let's get into it. Governor Cuomo resigns. This is what killed me on the story, folks. I suspected that this was going to happen. I figured, they need to get rid of him. They need a sacrificial lamb. They need him to move along. He's got too much shit on him. But this is the headline I keep reading all across the internet. Cuomo resigns amid sexual harassment scandal. But the bigger one was Cuomo resigns amid sexual harassment allegations. No, it wasn't sexual harassment. It was sexual assault. Groping women, putting your hands under their clothes is not harassment. right? Harassment is a verbal harassment. You know, touching someone sexually against their will without their permission, that's assault. Number two, they're not allegations. I can make an allegation about Cuomo. It's not an allegation when someone makes a criminal complaint. Someone goes to the sheriff and says, this happened. The attorney general of the state has investigated the matter and found the evidence presented by not just one, but multiple complainants, right? Plaintiffs. That's not, and then puts a report out. That's not an allegation. Now you have a legal document that should lead to prosecution. It's not an allegation, and it's not a scandal. It is beyond all of that. We're in the midst of criminal activity being exposed, and it needs to be prosecuted. I mean, folks, has shit at the fan or what? For what he's done. Now, what gets me, and Uman and Kaz and Vaughn and Jolene in the back at the R Syndicate are bantering back and forth. Yeah, okay, a couple of people were sexually harassed, right, according to the news headlines. What about the 10,000 plus people that were killed as a consequence of Governor Cumho's decision to send infected cerveza people into rest homes where there are elderly people with poor immune systems, weak bodies, and other illnesses that make them prime targets for the actual mortality rate to be very high. Children, not high. Adults, not high. Middle-aged people, not high. Even older people, not real high. But if you're elderly, weak, sick, tired, in a rest home with comorbidities, and then someone ships in a bunch of sick people, what do you expect is going to happen? Not a big deal there. Let's forget about that. Hey, let's pay attention to this over here. Anyways, now, part two of this, folks. Part two. Shit has hit the fan. The left is just, they're losing it. They're going to need to do something nasty. But here's the deal. What about El Presidente? That's right. Gigi Biden himself. 1993, he sexually assaulted somebody in his office, according to her allegations. Her criminal complaint. Is the press going to ask Biden when he's going to step down? Is the press going to ask when Congress is going to impeach Biden for something even worse than what Cuomo is said to have done to one of his staff or many of his staff? Folks, how many times does this happen? How many times does this have to happen? It's absolutely incredible. Now, I'm going to play a little bit of mystery fun with you guys. Folks, shit has hit the fan. Let's have a little bit of fun, right? Let's just party it up. By the way, this story is on Patreon only if you want to go read it. But I'm going to ask you something. A little quiz. Something has killed more people than the nuclear bomb, the atomic weapon that was dropped on Hiroshima. Something has now killed more people than that. Can you guess what it is? Can you guess what has killed more people than the atomic bomb in Hiroshima? Guess. You know, an atomic bomb goes off. Everyone within the EKR, effective kill radius, is killed. We used to call it a casualty radius, but we're going with kill. I can't give you any more details than that. Folks, if you go to patreon.com, go to the Prepared Mind on patreon.com, sign up. $2 a month, 7 cents a day. That supports what we're doing here. It does. Now, for you guys that are on Patreon, you know that you're already here. Thank you very much. You're keeping us going. This is what we do. This is what I love to do, folks. It's exhausting. It wears me the fuck out. I'm tired, but I love it. Absolutely love it. Anyways, yeah, what has killed more people than the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima? I bet if you think about it just a little bit, you'll figure out what is killing people today. And it's not what the mainstream media would have you believe. Oh, by the way, did you know that in Colorado, voting machine passwords ended up on the internet? Now, wait, I thought these machines didn't have access to the internet, right? They're lying to us. They're still lying to us. They're going to keep lying to us. Why should we ever again believe all of the lying political hacks that are out there? That's all they do is lie to us. There is a huge push, by the way. And of course, the Democrats, and everyone should be well aware of this. The Democrats, the Biden administration, they are very much pushing to say that Republicans are dangerous and that we're bad, right? That everything we say is a lie, that they need to get rid of us. It's the conflict, armed conflict, it seems, is getting closer and closer very quickly. Please get prepared. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and a plan, right? Get your preps. Go to the the preparedmind.club. We got VPN, we got water, we got food, we got body armor, we got ammunition, we've got self-defense tools. We've got everything there or links to them. I'm trying to go fast too, folks, because there's a lot for me to cover here, and I want to get to your questions because we haven't done a live in a few days, right? Now, live is what we're doing right now, but the lies grow. And this is another story that's only on Patreon, so check the links on the stories. There is an effort to make it appear that Florida is reporting record numbers of stupidity. Record numbers. Now, this has been surmised over the last few days that people are being sent to Florida intentionally who are infected and having them go to hospitals and check in an effort to fill up hospital beds. Folks, Florida is no different than any other state. Florida is no different than any other state. They all have people. So why is in the middle of summer, in the middle of a heat wave, this is when, it's my understanding, commonly passed around diseases, like the common cold. Flu season is not in the summer. Why is there this number going up? Well, we know why it's going up in Texas, because they're introducing hundreds of thousands of Mexican immigrants who are here illegally. They're illegal aliens. They are admitting them into the country. And they, too, are showing high numbers of infection. Believe it or not, right? So if you're the government and you have an agenda and you want to make states look bad, it's funny, the two freest states in the country, Florida and Texas, are said to be having record numbers. So much so that the Karens in the other, well, even in Texas and Florida, but the other 48 states as well, are all screaming and yelling that they want people put in camps, that they think that there should be mandatory rules for everyone else that must be obeyed. They actually go so far as to say that people who are natural immune system participants, that they should die. We are entering some very, very tense, very, very dangerous ground. We're entering into very dangerous ground when groups of Americans, the political leftists, folks, are saying that people on the right, normal, traditional, tax-paying, constitutional, clinging to your guns and Bible Americans, you right there, that's right, you, I'm talking to you, you know who you are. They think you need to be killed. You are the problem, they say. They're becoming radical on the left and violent. In fact, I had an idea about this. But think about it, if you will. Think about all the people. Why is it that Florida? Let's see, not only do they have people, folks, by the hundreds of thousands visiting Florida from other states for a taste of freedom, wouldn't it make sense if if you wanted to create the appearance of a crisis, your name was Rahm Emanuel, and you said, don't let any crisis go to waste, and your political operatives are everywhere, and there's free travel down into Florida, how hard would it be to gather up some sick people, pay for their trip to Florida, and tell them to go check into a hospital? Don't worry, we'll make sure your kids go to college and get a great education for it. Is that so hard to believe in this day and this age, that they would send shills, sick people, to go to another state to make their numbers look bad? Because DeSantis and the governor of Texas, Abbott, just such bad people. They're such bad people. We need to do this, right? Yeah, I believe it. I absolutely believe it. You know, there was a video years ago that came out, a couple of decades ago almost, reputedly Department of Defense at the Pentagon meeting, where they talked about being able to introduce a chemical or some sort of biological agent into a person's bloodstream that would affect their what's known as the God gene, and turn off this feeling that you need to be religious or spiritual. And they really were talking about how they could use this. Now, if you go back further in history, there has been a push for super soldiers for decades and decades and decades. The government has experimented with different mind control drugs. They've experimented with hallucinogenics. They've experimented with amphetamines, trying to find a way to make soldiers more effective, be able to operate longer with fewer breaks. And there's only so much you can do with the human body, folks. I try to do my very best with this body, and I push it to the limits at age 51. There's still only so much. You work it harder, you need more rest. But still, there's something that's going on with people. I just want to ask you a little funny question, just a little bit of conspiracy fun, right? It seems to me that people on the left are becoming more verbally hostile. They seem to be having no issues with morality or decency, and they seem to accept corruption. Well, God genes, the way the moral God part of the mind works is it's not corrupt, and it can't handle corruption. It doesn't like evil. It doesn't like killing. That part of the mind, this God part of the mind, wants people to treat each other fairly and be nice. What kind of abuse are we getting in this world? It's coming from the left. They're becoming more verbally hostile. They're becoming more physically hostile. Perhaps they're going to become violent soon as well. Are they mentally burning themselves up? And could it be maybe they got some bad tequila? Maybe they got some bad tequila, folks, and it's making them a little bit violent. Maybe they're becoming zombie-like. Live hard, die fast. I don't know. Just something to think about. Just something that's been rolling around in the back of my mind, folks, is what are they doing, right? Why is the left normally a bunch of pacifist, mamby-pamby pussies, but who has taken the most juice? Who is now acting and calling for violence? Who is now more corrupt than ever before and getting worse? Now, Governor DeSantis has threatened to withhold salaries of superintendents, school board members who have defied the mask ban. In Texas, the governor said there will be no masks in the schools. And if you try it, I'm going to cut your pay. I'm going to pull your pay. Same thing is now happening in Texas in a couple of school districts. They've decided that they're going to mandate face diapers. What choice does Governor Abbott have? Once again, folks, does the governor have power or not? Now, over me and you, we're just citizens. We're free people. Not nearly as much control, but people who work for the state. Right. Now, can you make people do things that are against the law? No. Can you make people do things that are harmful and dangerous? No. Can you make people do things that they can say, you know what, I just quit? No. but they can make people operate within the bounds of the law. That is something that they can do. The governors can make state workers operate within the bounds of the law. We're going to have a showdown, folks. These teachers all over the country, they want face diapers. They want communism. They want critical race theory. They want drag queen story hour every day with bananas and prophylactics, I'm sure, to boot. These people are sick. I don't know how many times you and I have to talk about it, point it out, and look at what they're saying and doing. They're more and more people, folks. I'm talking to people also who some have kind of just a spiritual life. Others are agnostic, and some are just like, you know what? I'm not an atheist, but I don't give a shit. They're all starting to use one word, folks. One word that you would never expect to hear from someone who isn't a religious sort, and that is satanic. Satanic. Now, I want to remind everyone that the word Satan means adversary, enemy. The political left are our adversaries now. They have proclaimed it. We haven't made them. We're normal. We're right down the middle, folks. Normal, right? Law and order, justice, peace, equal rights, friendliness. We're right down the middle on that. Traditional good Americans. They're the ones who have run far to the left and want to destroy everything. That's an adversarial position. But it almost appears now at this point that it's evil. What they're doing is absolutely evil. They're destroying lives, destroying property, destroying businesses, destroying peace, folks. That is evil. And so if you're an evil adversary, that falls right in line with the word Satan, does it not? Could it be Satan? Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, a little bit of church lady there for you. There's plenty of Satan going on, folks. Oh, man. I've got a great presentation coming up tomorrow. Communist folks, these leftists, many of them are just plain old stupid evil, but there's some that are kind of smart evil, right? They're the ringleaders. They're the people who stay just out of the camera's eye, and they use their political influence, their money. They use probably all manner of duress and pressure to go after people to get them to do stuff. But one of their leader, one of the groups that was out there covering for Governor Cumho, helping discredit people who were attacking him, right? His accusers, because he was, well, let's see, was it sexual harassment, sexual assault? What are some of the other big ones he's done? Oh yeah, not talking about all the people he killed, folks. I'm not talking about that. But when you retaliate against somebody who has made a complaint because they've been sexually harassed or assaulted, when you retaliate against somebody for your illegal action, that's an even bigger crime. But Time's Up is one of the groups that helped protect Governor Cumho and screw over and lie and attack his accusers. The leader of that, Roberta Kaplan, has resigned as the chairwoman for Time's Up. And get this, folks. Do you know what Time's Up was about? It was a political action committee. It was a political group. It was a social group. It was a group that was founded, folks, get this, to fight sexual harassment. And so what did she do? She attacked somebody or multiple people who have accused Governor Cumho of sexual harassment. In other words, the exact opposite thing that they're supposed to be doing. They're supposed to be fighting sexual harassment. Instead, they're covering it up and enabling a sexual harassment asshole, Governor Cumho. Well, thankfully, he's resigned. I guess in 2 weeks. When I heard he's going to resign in 2 weeks, you know what I thought? I thought he's going to work on it for 2 more weeks and see if he can get everyone to forget, get everyone to forgive, try to discredit the people some more, try and get some political power back. And in fact, I don't know if you're aware of this. Also, he tried cutting a deal with the legislature in New York. Tried cutting a deal with them. Hey, look, I won't run for a 4th term. Can you imagine having that piece of shit as your governor for 16 fucking years? He's like, I won't run again. Just let me finish out my term. And they're like, no. You either gonna run on your own or you're not gonna run on your own. But we're not going to give you a pass on this. We're not going to not impeach you. It's that bad, folks. But in this world, as jacked up as it is, it's starting to seem like, well, I mean, what's a little bit of sexual assault from the governor? What's a little bit of sexual assault from the president? What's a little bit of illegal detainment camps? Those people are high risk. They're assholes. We don't like them. They refuse to comply and obey with all the stupid edicts coming out of government. Yeah, I mean, so what's a little bit of sexual assault compared to the 50 million people that they want to lock up? Oh, that's just for starters, by the way. Let's do this. We are live, and I'm glad to have you back. We've got our channels are going to be coming out of the trouble zone here very quickly. But in addition to that, we have a 4th channel, Prepared Mind channel, that is in reserve. It's kind of like the reserves. It's in the reserve. We got 1, 2, 3, and now 4th is sitting there. Plus, we have Michael Smith, if you know who that is. All righty, so let's get to your questions, if we shall. And I want to welcome everyone back to live broadcasting on a daily basis. And they're not going to be able to stop me. Not if you are supporting what we do here. And you have been. And there's a couple new things going on YouTube. When we get back over onto the YouTube side, I'll see if I can figure out what the hell that's all about. We got some trouble. Orlando has this to say. He says, regarding the nationwide emergency alert system test for 2 p.m. on 10/11. That's tomorrow. It's Wednesday. Regarding the test at 2 p.m. on Wednesday, red flag for me is that unlike all other previous emergency alert system tests, this one will last for 5 minutes and will be on all TV channels, radios, and cell phones. My instinct says this is something to watch. Am I right to think that this coming event is coming sooner than later, or what? I feel like our time is already running out. Well, there's a couple ways I want to address your question. Number one, the feeling of time is running out. As shit hits the fan gets worse and worse and worse and worse, and you can barely keep your chin above it. As things get worse, we tend to think as human beings, if you have a linear mind, you can tend to see the progression of events, the progression and increase in pain and suffering, and you tend to think there's only so far that I can be pushed, that people can be pushed, that nations can be pushed, that the world, there's only so far we can be pushed. And so we tend to look for a time, a date, a place where we can put our mind and go, okay, that's the end of it right there. There's an event coming, and that will mark or could mark or can possibly be the thing we're looking for. So we can say, that's it. And I think that's what you're experiencing in your mind. And I do as well, folks. I don't think any of us can't. We're like, there's pressure, pressure, pressure. What is coming? When is a likely time when they can pull the trigger and cause things to go really bad? So yeah, the 11th of August is a potential for it. And you could say, well, they're doing it different, though, and this is what you're saying. And I'm not putting you down, man. It's a great point to make because it's an exercise I go through all the time. Why am I feeling all this pressure, tension, anxiety? What is going on? Right? Never mind my personal life. I'm talking about shit hits the fan, right? Things are building pressure, building pressure, building pressure. And there's something out in front that is going to trigger it, and it's just going to go completely haywire and bonkers. The reason you can say that now with more confidence also is shit has hit the fan. They've done the cerveza bug stupidity. They pushed us over the edge. They're making life hell. And we're waiting for that next big shoe to drop where they can just completely fuck everything else up. You know, power grid goes down. Pow. Banking system absolutely takes a shit under a computer virus. Time is running out to get prepared. Time is also running out for the radical leftists. And this I cannot understand. Not in any meaningful, conclusive way can I say they have a time limit. They have to reach their goal and get there before this other thing happens. I don't know what this other thing is that they're afraid of stopping them. I don't know why they're so hell-bent on fucking the world over, other than they're just a bunch of evil pricks. But yeah, they feel like they're running out of time. We feel like we're running out of time. The best thing you can do is get prepared. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. Understand the world around you. 10-mile radius, you're right in the middle. I'm going to say this. Food prices are going up. They're now going to start raising interest rates, folks. You know what that means? It's going to be more expensive for you to borrow money. And that's not just a small thing. It's not a small effect. It's going to affect credit cards, your ability to leverage your credit in order to help you survive in this world. It's going to get more expensive. Oh, if they raise the government 1%, I'm sure they'll raise you 3%. Don't worry, you get to pay the lion's share of this. In other words, the screw job is coming, folks. Or you could say they're turning the thumb screws down. The pressure and pain is coming. Food is getting much, much, much more expensive. Stock up on food. That's why I say, look, food is now an investment. Inflation is getting so hard, so high, so far, so fast. The Tyson chicken CEO has come out and said, look, the cost to raise these chickens and produce the chicken meat is rising faster than we can raise prices going into the stores. That's runaway inflation, folks, when it's getting so fast that they can't keep up with their price raises in order to pay for things to replace it, right? So if I'm selling a car this week for $1,000 and I look and I go, ooh, I need to make money. And in order to replace that car I just sold for $1,000, it's going to cost me $1,000. So I need to sell the next car for $2,000, right? So I sell a car for $1,000. The next one's $1,200. I'm sorry, not $2,000, but $1,200. And then I go to replace it, and the next car is $1,500. It's like, holy cow, I can't raise prices fast enough to make money to pay for the next car. That's what's going on in the world of chicken. You think it's isolated to chicken? What is going on, folks? It is hyperinflation. It is started. It's being recognized. It's being complained about. It's affecting our food, the very thing that we need the most to get by. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine. It's getting more expensive. Fast. Get prepared. You can get long-term food storage at the preparedmind.club. You can go buy staples, beans, and rice at the store. Get them while you can. If prices on food go up 20 or 30 or 40% this year, anything you buy is going to do better than any investment that you would possibly hope to have on Wall Street. Most people are happy making 10% a year. You're going to see a lot more than that with inflation, folks. It's already begun. Get prepared. That's what this channel is about. Being prepared for the emergencies that are coming, whether they're associated with food, fuel, electricity, politics, military, or just assholes in your neighborhood. Again, the people around you, that 10-mile radius around you, they're the biggest threat. You could grow lima beans and have Cornish game hens running around in the front yard. You know, you got food and stuff growing. You can have a nice little farm and shit. No problem, right? Green acres. Woohoo! It's other people that are the problem. People that haven't planned. People that don't know how to think for themselves. People that obey. People that are confrontational. Evil. People that are afraid. People that are injured and sick who are going to be out there. They're not going to be your friends, folks. You need to be prepared for everything. Let us move on. We got the slim one here. He says, when are we going to stop beating around the bush and call for this and call this for what it is? The mark of the beast. That's what all the evidence adds up to. That's a great point. In the world of Christianity, the mark of the beast is the mark that you have to take in order to buy and sell. And if you don't take the mark, you cannot buy or sell. Now, isn't this a fascinating thing, right? If you don't like tequila, then they're starting to push for this idea that you can't buy or sell, you can't travel, you can't go to stores, you can't go to, entertainment. It mirrors it, does it not? You see, and now let's just step back. Mark of the beast. What is the beast? The beast is out of control government. That is exactly what it is in the Bible. It's not some fantastic creature from some horror movie. It is government. The mark of government is what? Telling you have to choose, accept their mark, or they're going to punish you. You can't buy or sell or live or do anything else. It's not entirely difficult to understand, folks, how government is all about control. This is not a new thing. It is universal and it is timeless. All the way back to the beginning of time, human beings have sought to control others. And when they don't, and when they're not able to control them, they punish them. So the control is there, and the punishment that follows for failure to comply are universal. So the idea that you could say it's divinely inspired if you want. You could say it's a conclusion that can be drawn by examining history and evidence and human behavior and psychology. The fact that it was predicted right around 2,000 years ago by John on the island of Patmos. Yeah, phenomenal, awesome work, dude. Way to go. Inspired by God, writes some shit down, 2,000 years, starts coming true. But here's the deal, folks. This is more important than that. That you have a choice. This is what government doesn't want you to believe. You have a choice. You can say no. Those who choose to be deceived, those who have believed the great deception. See, I'm more worried about the great deception, the big lie that's out there. That is also what is out in front of us, and we're looking at it. Who is believing the big lie? People who are getting copious amounts of tequila. That's a big lie. And a critical, intelligent mind can see it. That's you. You still have a choice. You can be bullied, you can be buffaloed, you can be threatened, you can be coerced, you can even be violated into this mark, this control mark. It was thought up until recently that the mark would be having everything to do with social security numbers and banking. Isn't it funny how people who are looking for the mark out there, the control of the government, mark of the beast, control of the government, they were thinking it was about money, social security number, banking codes. Now it's about tequila. It's about having something placed inside of you, right? This bad stuff is supposed to get in your brain and mess it up. It's tequila, right? Tequila fucks up your brain. You can't think right. I understand the religious implications, the prophecy, understand it, but you're not living 2,000 years ago. We have to be prepared for today and understand we have a choice. We have a duty, we have an obligation, we have a charge, we have our belief systems, our faith, and we need to go forward. It's not over by any stretch of the imagination. If you understand what is written there, you know that there's years and years of tribulations that will follow. And none of it's fun, and none of it is easy. It's called SHTF. And we're getting into it even further, deeper. But I appreciate you putting that idea out there. Hey, the evidence adds up to, control, government, control, government, control. What else does government do? It kills. It unceasingly kills. It does not quit. It does not stop. It becomes so radical they kill. The most radical governments we've had in the last 100 years, Communist China, by the way that regime is still operating, Communist Soviet Union Russia, and Nazi Germany, killed over or thereabouts in the neighborhood of 100 million human beings, exterminated, murdered. What is our government in Washington, D.C. sounding more and more like every day? A radical, violent government that wants to control everyone, every thought. Here they come. They're being supported by a section of the population. People used to ask, how is it that the German people could have allowed Adolf Hitler, Himmler, Goebbels, Hess? How did they allow them to take control of the country? Because they had about half the country pushing for it. What do we have today? Half the country sucked down their tequila sauce and said, hey, look, everyone else, you got to play our game. And violence, folks, will come. There's two ways it can come. Violence in SHTF comes two ways. Either you comply with everything they say and they're still going to arrest you and kill you. China, Russia, Germany. People complied, wore their yellow stars, put on their pink fucking triangles, did everything the government said, and they still went to concentration camps and got killed. They still were sent to mass graves and were slaughtered by the millions in Russia and China. They complied and they died anyway. So your second choice, choice number two, your second choice is to fight back violently. That is coming sometime in the future, and I'm not glamorizing it, and I hope everyone knows this is not fucking glamorous. This is not going to be fun time. But you can basically predict the future. These people on the political left are calling for violence, arrests, camps, death camps. They're the ones pushing for control and domination. This is really an optimistic type meeting, isn't it? Oh my God. All right. We got Biaxo checks in. He says, I've seen people make excuses for Andolph come holy. Even making comparison to Trump's grab them by the kitty. These idiots think he saved so many people. Disgusting sheeple. Sheephole. Adolph Cumhole, governor of New York. Yeah, what he did is nothing. I mean, it's the same as Trump, right? Trump made a joke, and not one single woman, not one woman came forward and said Trump sexually assaulted her. The best they could come up with was Stormy Daniels, a porn hoe, which is fine, right? She's a porn star. Go get him. She exploited herself wonderfully. Made lots of money. I would hope she made lots of money doing probably a very nasty, enjoyable job by her standards, right? That's the best they could come up with to make Trump look like a bad dude. Governor Cuomo, on the other hand, has assaulted and harassed and then retaliated against numerous plaintiffs. There is no comparison between that and Trump saying, grab him by the pussy. There is no comparison. Period. But they're going to try it. And yeah, you see, when you believe in somebody, like the people on the left who look at Governor Cuomo and they'll come up with whatever they can to justify and excuse away his crimes and congratulate themselves on seeing their wisdom and brilliance. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools. You guys may be familiar with that one. Let us move on if we shall. We've got about 10 minutes left in this hour. Folks, every day, it's hour after hour for me of this stuff. And I want to thank you for supporting all we do. Slim One's back. He says, question, have you ever thought about moving the show to after 5 or 6 so we can have more people watching? Yes, I have. I've thought about that. But what I want to do is I want to make it universal Monday through Friday. You see, I kind of like the idea of having the evening off. I get done with this, I eat a little bit of dinner, I can relax a little bit, folks, literally relax a little bit. If I did it every night at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, I'd get done at 8. I'd be thoroughly exhausted. But I mean, I thought about it, but I want to make it the same all week. I don't want to do 4 o'clock one night, 5 o'clock another, 7 o'clock another night, then back to 6. You know, I try to make it universal so it's predictable and it can fit into people's schedules a lot better. With regard to East Coast, West Coast, we get into even more trouble, right? If I kick the show off at 4 East Coast time, that's 1 o'clock West Coast. So the West Coast people come back from lunch and they're at work and they can tune in and listen live. They can send questions in to Jolene email style, and I'll answer them, and they can either watch the show live or they can catch it later on their way home or their evening at their leisure. The cool part for you guys is you can watch anytime you want, but yeah, if you want to participate live, you know, what time would be better? We can put it out. We can put it out to a for Patreon. We can put it up for a vote. I mean, what's the best time? 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Please make adjustments if you're in another time zone. You know, the trick is just I get up every day, folks, very early. It's dark out when I get up. And I've been that way for years and years and years. So it doesn't matter what time I want to sleep till I get up early and I run out of juice. I become very tired and exhausted. And I don't want to do this show while I'm exhausted, falling apart. I want to be sharp and crisp and humorous and fun and informative. And I want to be able to, you wouldn't believe this. Well, I guess you would. You've been here a long time. As we talk, as we discuss, as I read articles, as I read your questions, as we do all these things, I'm continuing to think and put pieces together and then share them with you on the spot. And that's really why I like the live is I get to spontaneously think and come up with information to share with you on the spot. And if I'm too tired, right, it's hard to be effective or as effective. So anyways, you guys let me know what you think via the comments on Patreon. Whew. All right, we got Rod Oferon. He says, John, I love listening to you at work. When can I get Wi-Fi or data here in the last bastion of America, which is Wyoming? Yeah. Good golly. Wyoming. One of the that's on my map. It's cold will fuck you up on the SHTF map. And I know of a lot of people that are looking at Wyoming, buying property in Wyoming, trying to leave other areas of the country for geographic isolation, political isolation, resource management. But it's, you know, it's incredible. Wyoming is now on the map for people. So yeah, get your questions in. As far as how do you get internet or Wi-Fi out there? Your best bet, I think, is going to be satellite. You know, if you don't have a cell tower close, you know, cell tower, you've got, when I was at the RMZ, folks, I was in an extremely remote location, probably the most remote location on the entire fucking planet. Geographically speaking, it sure felt like it. But I was able to communicate with you guys on a daily basis with the cell data on my phone. I also had this little thing called a MiFi puck. It was a Wi-Fi hotspot that spoke to cell towers, but the phone was just as effective. Yeah. But if you can't reach a cell tower, then you have no choice but to go with satellite. I mean, if you don't have a cell tower, Wyoming is incredibly remotely rural, folks. I mean, there's internet there. It's just one of those things where, you know, I'm sure there's plenty of dead spots for cell service. Not many options. And then again, to run fiber optic cables 100 miles in one direction and you're going to get maybe 100 customers. It's just not worth the expense, the infrastructure cost. And so they haven't done it. So definitely find out who in the area has cell towers. Call around, ask around. You can find out who has the best connections. Maybe it's, I don't even know what else is out there besides Verizon. I guess there's T-Mobile and AT&T. I don't know anymore. Sprint, is Sprint part of T-Mobile? I don't even know. But call the few companies, providers that are out there and find out who has connection into the area of Wyoming where you're going. Go ahead and do that. I want to finish up with a couple more things here. The Washington Post and basically all mainstream media are moving into an area, folks. It is going to become beyond propaganda. The mainstream media, whether it's satellite, broadcast, internet, print, video, whatever the media or medium of exchange that they use, medium, internet, interconnectivity, whatever that is, they're moving into an area now that is beyond manipulation. It is becoming the justification for violence. The Washington Post says that the skeptical minds of Republicans, you know, us normal people, right down the middle, looking at information on both sides, making determinations that are best for us. The Washington Post says that because we are resistant, because we are skeptical, that belief system is fueling violent militias. Now, I'm still looking for the white supremacist, white nationalist, European violent militias that are out here. Still haven't found them, folks. Right, the Washington Post is making the resistance to their demand for control. Right. They're saying that that's creating an evil agenda by people on the right. Right, and they're trying to tie that to other violent actions that have occurred in the past, like Oklahoma City. You know, that was the Timothy McVeigh and Terry Nichols violent attack on the federal government, and the same sort of thing is happening now. You see how they're trying to tie that together? Thank you, Washington Post, for showing us that you aren't journalists, that you're junk, you're fake, you're crap, you're caca, you're worse than propaganda. You are elephant feces. Right? Who is violent today? Antifa, Black Bloc. Who is violent today? Black Lives Matter. Who is allowing the violence to persist, continue, grow, expand? Democrat governors, Democrat mayors. Now, there's no evidence, even from the FBI, who wants to say that the radical right, basically, law-abiding, tax-paying citizens with jobs who love their country and aren't violent and aren't evil, the Federal Bureau of Investigation wants to label them as such. Isn't that incredible, right? There's no proof of anything going on out there. There's no proof that there's any militia or patriot movement that is so anti-government that they're willing to do anything. And I think more importantly than that is they're actually creating this belief system that it's out there to discourage you or me or anyone else in the whole country. They want to discourage people from even the notion or idea of standing up and rejecting government. They don't want that idea to come to you, and they're gonna preemptively villainize and demonize you if you have any such thought. A lot of people go, why aren't Americans fighting back? Why aren't Americans fixing their government? Why aren't they taking over the government buildings and fixing everything? Because we know that's what needs to be done. That, you know, if you're in one state, the people in the state next to it look at you and call you a bunch of pussies for not fighting. And then this state looks at your state over here and says, you're a bunch of pussies for not fighting. And then across the ocean in Ireland and England, And over in Germany and France and Spain, they're looking at America going, hey, America, I thought you were the land of the free. You guys are a bunch of pussies because you won't stand up to your government. You're demonized ahead of time. You're demagogued ahead of time by being associated with a violent militia accusation. So it serves two purposes. What's going on in the mainstream media today? Two purposes are being served. Purpose number one, they are villainizing you, and they're giving the government, right, the moral support of the left-wing lunatics by saying, oh, yeah, we believe that bad things are being planned by these Republican freedom-loving people. So they're convincing themselves that we're dangerous. At the same time, they're convincing us we don't want to be dangerous. And by demagoguing us, demonizing us, putting us down, associating us with things that we find repugnant and repulsive. So they dissuade us while accusing us, while empowering themselves with more control, muscle, police power. But all in all, folks, in the very end, as we've predicted, they have no authority over you. It is your choice to be free, and it's your choice to be prepared. All the items you need, folks, chance favors the prepared mind, is yours. That's a serious question. Is yours? Are you prepared? Is your mind prepared? Semper Fi, folks. Always faithful, and Godspeed. I will be back sooner than you know it.